Alright, so since the last episode, I've skipped through numerous chapters in this game, because while Lupin does show up briefly for some of them, he doesn't really have a lot to add. So I thought we would skip until the Mr. Mackenzie chapter, which we're at right now. So, this is before we decide who we're going to help with the cipher. Jack's gonna have a little bit of a moment there. So, let's help Lupin out. Let's start with your message, Lupin. Here we are. Hmm. I've no idea what type of cipher this is. Do you? Well, the most distinctive thing about it is that there are lots of ampersands in addition to standard letters. I hadn't even noticed that. Then you recognize it, Miss Whiteley. I think I do. I believe it's... Isn't that the one Marie Antoinette used? This is... Yeah, I think it's the one used by Marie Antoinette. Mr. Mackenzie talked about it in class. The cipher used by Marie Antoinette. Oh, yes, that sounds familiar. Yay! We studied this in class, didn't we? You have such a sharp memory. I'd forgotten all about it. Yes, I remembered that, just because of the ampersands. Do I not have to actually figure out what your message is? Because that would be delightful. And did Mr. Mackenzie just give that to you because he knows your true identity? Okay. I think we'll skip ahead until the graveyard then. And see if Lupin leaves us a little note. He did! I can't wait to see what he wrote us. It's in the cipher used by Marie Antoinette. It must be from Lupin. This is a bit of a challenge, but I think I can do it. Aw, he's so happy. To your smile, I offer my thanks and my love. Wow. That sounds like something Lupin would say, not Lupin. Sorry, that was a bad joke. What Jean would say instead of John. Even Emily's surprised. I don't know if I should think him daring or oblivious. Hello? I peeked towards Lupin, who looked as though all of his energy had left him upon discovering Mr. Mackenzie was in good health. Aw, he's blushing. Our gazes met briefly, but he looked away from me with flushed cheeks. I still like the letter, whatever his intent. Thank you, Lupin. He gave you his love, girl. What needs to be clarified? Girl, he gave you his love. I gently closed my fingers around the message. I folded the message and placed it carefully in my pocket. For later. Alright. Exhausting. Okay, I think this is the picnic one. It is grand. Okay, so we're gonna skip through most of this again. Do it again, because we get another CG. Alright, Holmes first. Watch what he's doing. Okay, there we go, we got him. Watson. We should watch what he's doing, I believe. Don't call out to him because then he falls down. Grand, okay. Marple. Call out to her. There we go. Got her. Not you yet. Hudson. Joined in on the fun. Starting to get the hang of these guys. Akachi. Watch him sleep. Don't look at his sword. My sweet boy. Okay. Kobayashi. Just tell him why you're there. Grand. Last person. Lupin. I can't help but wonder if he's really asleep. Curious as could be, I strolled over to where he was sitting to inspect the scene. Upon taking a closer look, he certainly appeared as though he were fast asleep, His eyes were closed, his breathing was light, and he was quite comfortably leaning against the tree. There was also a book next to him. He likely fell asleep whilst reading it. What if I were to play a practical joke on him, because the other stuff does not work? As I approached, Lupin hadn't even twitched. He was certainly in a deep sleep, and utterly defenseless. The mischievous little devil in me couldn't resist rearing its head before a face so angelic. He won't be too mad if I play a little prank, will he? His skin is so beautiful. I forgot about that. Careful, Emily, your cheeser is showing again. I placed a hand along his cheek. Skin so beautiful was as smooth as I expected it to be. It felt much like tracing my fingers along spider's silk. I'm not certain how I'm supposed to feel when a boy's skin is this lovely. I went to pinch his cheeks, conscious to show the same tenderness a mother cat might have carrying her children at the nape. Ah, that didn't work. He did stir ever so slightly, as if I'd been tickling him, but he showed no signs of waking. As I stared, scrutinizing every little detail of his features, a considerably less devilish thought came to mind. Hello? I've never actually seen him without his spectacles on, have I? My curiosity will never cease at this rate. The temptation was too much now that it was in my head. I took the bait splendidly. If none of what I've done so far has worked, taking off his spectacles won't either. I edged much closer to him as my fingers slithered up from his cheeks to the rims of his spectacles. Don't wake up. Please don't wake up. And yet, the second my hands had touched them... Uh-oh. Oops. Lupin's eyelids slowly lifted. Miss Whiteley. Lupin. We shared a quiet intimacy. I could feel his breath as he whispered my name. And then... Ah! What are you doing? His hands flew to his spectacles to hold them at such a speed that I hadn't the time to blink. I'm terribly sorry. I found myself wondering how you looked without spectacles, so then I... Whatever you are thinking, I think my heart's nearly stopped with you this close. Lupin's face was red as could be. Mine wasn't much different. And I'm terribly short-sighted, so taking off my spectacles would be quite frightening, if you must know. They're what make me who I am. Without them, I dare say there wouldn't be much left. I'm certain there would be plenty left, Lupin. Lupin continued to plead to keep them on. As he did, I had an off feeling, as if he were edging even closer to me. I hope you'll forgive me. I had no idea they were so important. Yes, they are. So please don't take them. He was equal parts serious in his expression and genuine in his words. I nodded. Never again. Cross my heart and hope to die. But, is something wrong? Well, this time you're the one awfully close. Nah! I didn't mean it! Lupin! If you move backwards so quickly, you'll... He fell to the ground with a I'm fine. A predictable, prominent smack. I'm just very excited whenever Lupin's around, okay? Lupin! Are you hurt? Ow! I'm alright. A bit late to ask this, I suppose, but did you have some business with me, Miss Whiteley? Yes! As a matter of fact, I did. I wanted to ask if you'd like to come enjoy a picnic with everyone. You'd like for me to join? But I was hoping to nap for a bit longer. But it's not often we have a chance like this. Shouldn't we make the most of it? Or am I perhaps being selfish? Please don't look at me with those sad eyes. I'll join you. I wasn't against the idea, really. Truly? Oh, thank you. I'm not sure what I would have done had you honestly refused.
I would never refuse a request from a lady. In fact, thank you very kindly for inviting me.
Okay. I do apologize, but I still have Jack to invite, so would you mind going ahead and waiting for us there?
I don't mind at all. I'll see you soon.
Of course. I'm off! We parted ways and I set off to gather Jack. Oh, Jackie boy. Everyone agreed. I won't take your hand just yet. Okay, there we go. Picnic time. As we were the last to arrive and the weather was still beaming, lunch was soon to begin. I got to see the kedgeries again. All right, please have your fill. One by one, I'd taken out the lunch boxes from the basket Pendleton had prepared for me. There's more than enough, Jack. I'll need you to eat as much as you can stomach. A typically cold response, but he didn't leave, which I considered enough of a success. As for you, Marple, here's the maids of honor you were promised. They're in here, so eat as many as you like. They look splendid. Seemingly impressed, she happily helped herself. I'd love it if you would try mine as well. I put my whole heart into making them. Oh, thank you. It would be my pleasure. And of course, the two of you are welcome to try whatever catches your eye. How about these?
You know how to make tamagoyaki?
They're very different in shape to the ones we know. They're called omelets. What's a tamagoyaki? It's a dish made by beating then cooking eggs before rolling them into a rectangular shape.
In Japan, eggs are a staple of the rich and wealthy. They're not a food common people partake in every day.
Is that so?
Let's try some, Akachi!
Calm yourself. There's no need to rush. The eggs aren't going to flee the table if you don't eat them this instant.
Thanks, Emily!
I shall try some as well. Well, what do you think?
Delicious! I love the fluffy texture. First the custard tart, and now this.
I agree. The seasoning is just the right strength, I might add. The accompanying sauce complements the dish nicely. Pendleton's cooking had found itself 2 more fans. I'm so pleased you like them. There's a whole other range of things to sample now, so please, sample away.
I would love to, but there's a mountain of food.
It's disrespectful not to eat all you've been offered. Jack, meanwhile, had been nibbling his way through a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. I'm so glad he's eating with us after all. Lupin, who was sitting opposite of me, had taken to sighing whilst opening and closing his lunchbox. You aren't going to eat, Lupin?
I will, but you see...
Something wrong? Watson made to peer at what was inside.
Nah! Don't do that, Watson!
Hiding it like that is just gonna make us all the more curious what's in there. We're all detectives, remember? I'm relatively certain you're only interested in the food. It doesn't take a detective to deduce that. Of course I'm interested in the food.
What is it?
Nah!
Watson, quick to ignore protests and eager to discover its contents, leant over to take the lunchbox.
What? Lupin, what? You can't be... What is this?
Upon peeking inside, Watson looked as though he were trying to restrain himself from a reaction of some kind.
I've never seen a lunch quite like this, to be certain.
Well, this is something.
I have seen nothing. Nothing at all. Is it really so unique?
Do you see now why I didn't want anyone to look? But you couldn't resist. You're all such ruthless brutes.
Beg your pardon. I couldn't help myself. But who made this?
My dad.
My! He's a true artist!
Really? You have my sympathies. Quite sincerely. Keep your pecker up now.
This is rather a special sight.
I can't keep it in any longer. No!
Stop, Watson! I was doing so well!
Watson and Kobayashi were clutching their sides in laughter, and everyone else had presented Lupin with their most supportive peers and pouts. Curiosity piqued, I thought to finally see for myself. Goodness! It's a heart-shaped kedgeree with your name on it! Lupin himself was colored red with embarrassment, but I was rather colored impressed. I wish these days could go on forever. My quiet whisper disappeared with the wind, heard by and reaching no one. It's time to get into the Lupin route. Let's go. We went our separate ways after a very satisfying lunch. The sky, however, saw fit to dull in color rapidly once we were finished. A deep and active gray stirred up above.
The fog appears to be rolling in, class, so it's best we clean up our mess and return for the day.
Everyone went to do as instructed. Wonder who we'll run into in the fog today. I hope I can pack everything away quickly enough. I reached out to the baskets before me to set about packing everything away. Hey, look who it is.
Miss Whiteley, let me help.
Ah, Lupin! It's no trouble?
None at all. It doesn't sit well with me to leave a lady all alone.
Well, aren't you considerate? Let's finish here before the fog gets any thicker then, shall we?
Yes, let's.
We divided the work between us and set about tidying the area. By the by, you said it was your father who made your lunch today.
I did, yes. I've no idea how he found out about the picnic, but he was adamant about preparing something for it.
I'm so envious. He must love you with all his heart.
Well, speaking of, I was envious of your food. Everything was so extravagant. The scorched eggs were my favorite. I'd eat those again if I could.
I was the one who made those, which was why they didn't look quite as polished as the rest of the food.
You did, but they were so delicious that I never once thought about how they looked.
Thank you. If you enjoyed them, it was worth my while making them.
You don't need to thank me. I'm the one who should be thanking you.
Aw, he's such a charmer. By the time we finished the last of our work, the area had become enshrouded by a thick fog. It's so difficult to see now. Saying that, I turned round to where Lupin had been, only to find that he was no longer there. Lupin? Where are you, Lupin?
Miss Whiteley, where are you?
I could hear his voice from far away. Frantically, I set off in the direction it was coming from. Lupin? I can't see you anywhere. After walking for a short time, I could finally make out the faint silhouette of a person. It was from the same direction as Lupin's voice at that, so I presumed it to be him. Lupin? Is that you, Lupin? I edged closer to the figure, but rather than get closer, it almost seemed to move farther away. Oh, wait! Okay, are we lost in the streets of London? We are. Always take the back alley. And let's see. See who we see. Morin? It's Morin time again. Alright, so Morin's our guy. Once more.
Miss Whiteley! Ah!
How is this boy not bruised all over? He is magical. Lupin fell to the ground with a unpleasant smack before he reached me. Lupin! Are you hurt?
No. Never mind me.
He jumped straight back up without hesitation and pulled me close, his hands cupping both of my cheeks. He was terribly flustered from panic. Aw.
You're not hurt, are you? Nothing happened?
Not a thing, Lupin.
Thank God.
You're so sweet to worry about me. But I'm very well.
promise. You may remove your hands if you'd like.
I cast my eyes downwards as my voice dropped to a flushed whisper.
Huh? Ah! Look at me! I should be more of a gentleman right now.
Lupin waltzed back in yet another dramatic movement. He'd gone through such an impressive range of them in so short a time. It was a small wonder he seemed out of breath solely because of me. Oh boy. This guy.
I hadn't intended to do that. And I mean the same for leaving you alone. I hadn't meant to, but because I did, you had to go through such a terrifying experience on your own.
It didn't sit well with me to see him scolding himself.
You needn't be so hard on yourself.
He's absolutely right. None of this would have happened if I hadn't run off. I should be the one apologizing to you. I caused you so much worry.
Still, that doesn't make me any less apologetic.
Regardless, this hardly seems the place to be having lengthy conversations and apologies. Let us retire to the carriage. Lupin, we shall take you to your home as well.
What? But that is, I have something that needs tending to at the academy first.
Then we shall take you to the academy. Will that be all right, Pendleton?
Certainly.
You don't want us to know where you live, do you?
If you insist.
We all climbed into the carriage and set off for Harrington. He's gonna have a long walk from the school to wherever he goes. Pendleton's sigh was the first thing to break yet another lengthy silence.
Oh, my lady, I'm going to be very frank with you. For heaven's sake, do something about your unfortunate habit of sticking your nose into danger.
I'm more at fault than she is, sir. If I hadn't gone off...
Nonsense. You keep speaking ill of yourself when you shouldn't.
Miss Whiteley.
I'd overheard something I fear I must discuss, however. Something involving a Colonel Morin.
Huh?
My lady, where did you hear that?
Lupin cocked his face slightly as though perplexed. Pendleton, however, appeared quite grave upon the mention of Colonel Morin. It was earlier. There was a man with me in the fog by that name.
Colonel Morin was arrested a long time ago and sentenced to life in prison.
But I heard his name! I can't be mistaken, can I? What if he's perhaps broken free?
No. As far as I'm aware, he's still locked in the Tower of London.
Is it possible you misheard?
But... This is the first time one of the guys has been like, are you sure you maybe misheard that? All the other guys have been like, interesting. But because Lupin is kind of working with Spellbound, I still don't know what his involvement is with Spellbound. He's like, I've got to downplay this a little bit. Could that have been a mere illusion in the fog? The more I tried to follow that line of thought, the more fear wrangled me. At a certain point, I could only shake my head to rid myself of anything more. A part of me knew that would do little to help. I could feel a mist begin to settle over my heart, one that seemed even less likely to clear than that of London's fog. Oh boy, I think we're at the end. There we go. To be continued. What's this first episode gonna be? The Stolen Treasure. Well, that seems apropos. The morning began as any other, at the breakfast table.
I present for your pleasure Earl Grey, my lady.
An aroma of citrus gave the room a certain exquisiteness from every corner. I've had enough, Pendleton. Yet I did not feel equally exquisite. I enjoyed the tea with one ladylike sip before placing it back down on its saucer, a sigh escaping my lips.
Whatever has you so blue, my lady? Rare is the day you would not request dessert. Could you be nervous? This is, after all, your first time attending an upper-class tea party.
Oh, my goodness, it's very upper class. Me? Nervous? Not so. Perhaps I don't look the part, but I am the head of House Whiteley, and I will not be shaken by a simple tea party.
If you speak the honest truth, then I'd appreciate if you stopped glaring at the flowers so displeasingly. Think of the gardeners who went to such great pains to raise them for your table. It would break their hearts to know the fruits of their labor were being treated as the likes of insectivores.
Dang. I'll have you know that I love all plants equally, beautiful, insectivorous, or otherwise.
Ah, too true. I never meant to doubt how accepting you were of poison. A pity that we don't have any such flowers in the mansion's garden to test your boundless compassion.
I am well aware of how loving I am without your input, Pendleton. The Whiteley family was in possession of a vast garden. The ground became adorned with color routinely by the gardeners, peppering white foundation with reds and blues and yellows and whatever else more excitable than walls, giving me a new sight to appreciate outside of my window every morning. Flowers delivered in excess were then brought inside by the servants, and so when I exited my room for the day, I was greeted once more by color decorated with neat calculation, as their placement had always been as sensible to me as arithmetic was always correct. And today, I'd been awakened to a breakfast table decorated by orchids in a glass vase.
You made quite an impression at Her Majesty's birthday party, so I was confident you would be invited to more in time. But of course, my lady, I would ask that you act from beginning to end in a way befitting of the House Whiteley name.
I know only too well, Pendleton. You needn't remind me. All right, it's time we get going. Now, hurry up and ready the carriage.
As you wish, my lady, on one condition. I beg that you address those present at the party with greater respect than that.
Well, obviously. They're not you. Bleh. Once satisfied, we set off for another residence on the outskirts of the city. Is this the one that we were with Watson and Holmes was in disguise? This mansion had taken roughly an hour to reach, but upon my arrival, I had seen that it had a garden that was even more immaculate than mine. Within it were tables draped in blue cloth, teapots stationed at their center, and the scent of Darjeeling agreeing wonderfully with the flora. Oh my, who's this?
I've read your name in the papers, but they did nothing to express how spirited a lady you are.
I quite agree, and her beauty stuns the senses upon sight. Standing and sitting, discussing, drinking, and laughing with a chested huff that lacked vibrancy were the nobility. They dressed for the occasion, of course, and they kept their manners and straight backs. As did I, against my unease.
It must be a very difficult thing to bear such responsibility with your youth. Your family has wealth, the gardens, and even factories to its name, does it not?
I leave all of my affairs to someone I trust deeply.
Of course. Capable personnel are as treasured an asset as any other. My family is in possession of some modest wealth, but I fear I can only truly boast of our castle.
The eyes of those within earshot twinkled.
A castle, you say? Mine is in possession of the Holy Grail. An illustrious piece to our name, of course, but it pales in comparison to a castle.
Illustrious indeed. Our only relic of similar variety is a short sword bequeathed by a member of the royal family. It's been passed down for generations, you know.
Goodness!
What on earth are they doing? They're competing.
Ah, yes. The Whiteley family has a portrait of Her Majesty, if I recall.
My, what a rarity! It's not often one can see a portrait of Queen Victoria.
Oh, to get a glimpse of it with my own eyes.
Forgive me, but the portrait is a family heirloom, and as such I'm afraid I cannot show it.
Come now, there's no need to be so strict.
I think that will do.
Oh, goodness. Who are all these people? Nah. I had a thought, but nah. Nah. I'll leave you all to wonder what the thought was. It's a dumb thought. I'm not even going to say it. Behind me, a slim gentleman carrying a handsome, aged composure entered the conversation.
This is Earl Beckford, I think.
He was the host of the party, and currently, from my perspective, my savior. I don't know if I could have taken much more prying.
It's been a pleasure to be invited here today, your lordship.
You're Miss Whiteley, I presume.
Yes, I am.
Thank you dearly for coming. Your parents did much for me in my younger years. I've always hoped to one day speak with you as their daughter.
I'm honored that you would say so.
Well, would you care to accompany me on a bit of a stroll?
Where are we? Hello? Seems like such a short ceiling. My conversation with the Earl was much more genuine. We walked around the mansion, smiling, laughing in a way more true than others I'd seen. Between lighter subjects were heavier ones as well, and never once did I suspect he would twist our engagement to a contest of earnings.
I do apologize for no doubt boring you after you were gracious enough to attend.
Oh, you've done no such thing. The tea and food were both delicious, too.
I'm pleased you think so. It makes preparing them feel worth the effort.
I'd like to express my gratitude for stepping in earlier also. You saved me, I must admit.
Family heirlooms are priceless treasures not to be flaunted. It warmed my heart to see you understand that. If it pleases you, I should like to present you some of the tea served today. By all means, share it with those back in your mansion. You carry the aura of a family head, an impressive feat for one so young. You bring virtue to your parents' legacies, to House Whiteley as a whole, and I pray in earnest that you continue to do so for years to come.
Thank you very much, your lordship.
We went immediately to retrieve the tea, and as Earl Beckford handed it to me, I smiled. The party ended with me feeling much lighter than when it began.
I see you're in high spirits, my lady. Did something happen?
That would be a secret.
I imagine someone praised you as the family head.
I said that it was a secret. At any rate, Pendleton, Earl Beckford gave me some lovely tea leaves. I want my schoolmates to come and sample some. Would that be all right?
Certainly.